For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. A mixed picture as usual, unfortunately. Nothing really standing out, but the important things are that investors will be looking at, see what Jay Powell says, the chairman of the Fed, later today, and also taking into account a bit of a rally on Wall Street last night. The Nikkei up about 2%, Topics up 1.9%. Mainland China, the Shanghai Composite slightly higher, and doing reasonably well. China's big electrical vehicle manufacturer NIO says that the NVIDIA chip restrictions won't hurt them. If you remember, last week NVIDIA disclosed that it has to get a special license if it wishes to invest in Chinese companies. The US is worried about some of this information being used towards Chinese military. It's called the Drive Oreo chip. And it's a very important component of self-drive cars. NIO saying that this kind of the licensing that NVIDIA has to go through in the United States will not affect its growth. However, NIO deliveries surpassed last year levels, exceeded its own guidance, but it's still losing money. This is because the company is in a development stage right now. Japan, which is still the second largest economy, the third largest economy in the world, rather, upgraded its second quarter GDP. Easing the COVID restrictions actually helped people out and about and to increase consumer spending. Shipping rates around the world. Here's quite an important one. Again, it's a very, very broad index, but it shows shipping rates are actually falling, which might be good news, but really what it seems to be portending is a global recession, and it may be well becoming. The World Trade Organization latest goods trade barometer, the WTO, says the volume of goods has plateaued really, and year-on growth has slowed to 3.2%, down from 5.7% in the final quarter of 2021. So that growth plateauing is felt to be feeling that and pointing towards a global recession. India and China are undercutting Russian oil sanctions. In other words, they're buying cheap oil. And so the actual sanctions imposed upon Russia by those countries that wish to do it, including major countries in the G7, which we were talking about the day before yesterday, it's not working. China and India have both increased quite dramatically the amount of cheap oil that they are importing from there. So as I hinted then, the US recap showed a bit of futures not really moving a great deal today, but not doing too badly yesterday. Basically, the stock market is coming off a sort of solid rebound that happened actually yesterday. Again, it could be what a lot of people in the market refer to as a dead cat bounce, and it's not necessarily good news. It just shows that maybe on some days it's felt that the stock market is slightly oversold, but generally speaking, and I think this adds to the picture, stocks are generally on a downtrend overall. I don't wish to act as an advert for Apple, but it is quite important when they start to they have their usual autumn launch, or the fall launch, as they call it in the United States, and it's seeking to improve its growth with new models, 2 new versions of the iPhone. 2.5 million people watch this particular launch on YouTube. All new iPhones available tomorrow. But the most important thing is that the world's largest company is trying to maintain its leadership in expensive smartphones, although no price increases yesterday. As far as the ongoing saga with Elon Musk and Twitter is concerned, a judge has ruled that he can use evidence from the whistleblower, the former security chief Peter Zatko, in court when that happens. But what the judge did not concede is any movement of the date. It is going to be October the 17th. Any postponement of that date, she felt, would damage Twitter itself. Big day today for the European Central Bank. Will interest rates go up? Yes, they will. I think that's pretty. The question is whether it's going to be 0.5% or 0.75%. Inflation peaking very, very heavily, 9.1% last month. I'm saying peaking. Maybe it'll grow even more. And again, of course, as far as the UK is concerned, a new political landscape. British pound has fallen to its lowest level against the dollar since 1985. That is down to sterling weakness, of course, also down to dollar strength. But obviously, Liz Truss has inherited an economy which is in the worst state it's been in for many generations. Inflation hitting 10.1% in July. The Bank of England is also saying that rates will have to rise. Kwasi Kwarteng, the Chancellor, has been meeting the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey. He's also meeting Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan. That it shows an important move as far as that's concerned. Every utterance from his mouth apparently is going to be all about growth. Energy firms have called on the new government to start releasing and accelerating investment in the North Sea. It's felt that if they were to do that, then it would help the economy. And as far as oil's concerned, the oil market is in fact weakening. This might be considered good news, but again, it's just like the shipping rates. It's not really. It's all about a global recession looming, and it could be that barrels of oil come down to about $80 a barrel. Anything below that, then it would go into free fall. That's what the markets are saying right now. But I would just add what I said right at the beginning of the week, that even the market's experts are not really predicting what the oil price is to do, such as the volatility of the whole market. That's the global view.
All right, Michael, real quickly. First PMQs yesterday, Keir Starmer versus Liz Truss. Questions, but Liz Truss couldn't answer. The big question of ground is, where are they going to get money for fixing energy prices? Where? You're not having any windfall tax? Where are you going to get the money? Where is she going to get all the money for the reforms? And what is she going to do about the cost of living and the fact that disposable income is at all-time low, and also the fact that the pound is taking a shellacking, like the Americans will say, against the dollar?
Where's she going to get the money from? At the moment, the plans are that the money will come from future debts and so on. And as inflation starts to fall, as it probably will, but not right now, then it will cost less to service these debts. It's very much looking towards the future. The difference between the two of them is that the Conservatives are still, whatever you think about them and whatever you think about Liz Truss, they're talking about growth, and they're very Lafferish. You remember the Laffer curve, the thing that Ronald Reagan depended upon, this famous economist who said all those years ago that if you start to tax people slightly less, then tax revenues start to rise because the economy starts to get itself. They're hoping that future tax revenues will pay for this. That's the difference between the two. There are no easy answers, of course. We have to keep our fingers crossed.
Well, a number of things. Bank of Canada yesterday further tightened monetary policy rate by 75 basis points, raising interest rate to about 3.25%, with hawkish rhetoric. Well, I saw some stories saying that this will have implications for the US dollar. How? Considering the fact that both the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve tend to act in tandem. Second, Liz Truss. Yes, Prime Minister's questions time yesterday. She was at least very clear about one thing, about windfall tax, oil windfall tax. And she said, no, that's not going to happen because she thinks that the UK should be more interested in attracting investment instead of discouraging investors. What do you think of that? Because I know that previously you were yourself very skeptical about windfall tax. Third point, very brief one. Kim Kardashian going into equity venture capital, had this combination of beauty, fame, and capital. How about that as a business case study or as a business model?
Good luck with Kim Kardashian. I don't need to comment on that, do I? I mean, yeah, she may well be going into it. Good luck with that. If you think that influencers are the way to make your fortune, then good luck. I would prefer people concentrated, not that I've got any say in it, But I would prefer to concentrate on the fundamentals rather than worrying about social media stars and all the rest of it. Canada and the US, yes, I think they're more or less in tandem. I don't think Canada got any choice, actually, in terms of raising interest rates. What effect it will have on the United States, I mean, who can tell? I think both countries are looking inwardly and trying to control inflation as their central banks would as much as they would allow. I'm with you. I think that monetary policy is fairly clumsy. What difference neighbouring states will actually have, I have no idea. And to be truthful, nor is anybody else. Both those central banks are fully concerned with what's going to happen in the future. As far as the Liz Truss is concerned, yes, these times are very difficult. All I would do is I would repeat that I don't believe in windfall taxes. I think they're very much a one-off. I think if you're going to in this for the long term, I think you should be looking at growth. You should be looking at productivity, and you should be hoping that future tax revenues meet the kind of debts that we are visiting on our children and our grandchildren. I don't support that necessarily, but I don't see it's any way forward. And if you really want to start to worry about things, look at the way that Russia is apparently, and I say apparently because it's very difficult to triangulate what's actually going on there. But it does seem as though the sales of oil on the cheap are far more meeting the £86 billion cost of the Ukraine war. Again, this is down to a Finnish economics institute, which apparently has been looking at the numbers. But this cannot be more than guesswork. So that's where we're going. We see that there'll be no stop to this for a long, long time. However, I think windfall taxes are very much of the moment. They sound like a great idea. It's very much more difficult to sell a long-term view. I think that's what she's trying to do.
Yes, this is exactly why the premiership right now for Liz Truss is such a poison chalice. She did say, and it makes sense, like you've just said, you can't tax your way to growth. But Keir Starmer also makes sense when he talks about leaving crazy profits, £170 billion of profits on the table and making working people pay for decades to come. So it's just a really tricky argument, but we've got to go. Thank you for your time this morning, Michael. Now for Global Business Update across the African continent, Rotus Adiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Tsundu. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Dr. ASU and the economic impacts of the ongoing stretched out strikes. We have a special report only on Sunday, so let's take a look.
This poster at the University of Abuja reads, "Learn with ease." But learning in Nigeria's tertiary institutions have been anything but easy for students in the past 6 months. The strike is taking a toll on not just the students and lecturers alone. The World Bank estimates that 80.4% of employed Nigerians are in its informal sector. In the university business ecosystem where they run the show, the strike has dealt the sector a heavy blow.
When you put a university in any locality anywhere in the world, it's sort of stimulates an economic activities in that area. Because if you have 10,000 students living in a university community, if they spend averagely 1,000 naira per day, you know what that one means already. So when they go on strike, that area now suffer that deficit because the students are not there. So that economic circulation is being disrupted.
With no students lined up to use the shuttles within the premises of the University of Abuja campus and its annex, these riders wait and hope a few visitors to the empty campus will provide some income.
The strike has affected us in many ways because one, this keke we are having now, they are owned by other people. We collected them on hire purchase, and some of the people have collected their keke back because they cannot pay the return. So and that has affected us.
The ever-busy Adilabu market on the University of Abuja looks abandoned. No customer in sight. Few are open for business and struggle to stay afloat.
When students were on section, we cook plenty of food and we were able to finish it. But now we cook less food, and there are people who do comes to buy food on credit because of the ASU strike, and they said they have not paid them any salary.
It don't affect me well. I know they sell. Ma say if you ma one crate may finish, you no finish. Kuma our lecturer, our worker will not see them. Mo we say we no say na secret we they see food na credit, mineral na credit. They go eat, they no go gree pay. The book must say don't fool. The name don't fool for credit too much. Our business must save money for business don't finish.
A cost of drinks of about 200 and something was moved away. It expired already. Expires already. So if you're a business owner, if you have an expired product, expired good and service in your office, definitely by now they must have expires.
It's the same at the University of Lagos, where Madam Temidayo counts her losses.
Very pathetic. Not only pathetic, it has caused a lot of problem, health problem, financial problem. What else can I say? Most of these minerals, malt, it has expiring dates. So once it has expired, our students here, they are very cool. they are very sensitive. They will look everything. Before they buy gala, they will check the dates. Before they buy drink, they will check the dates. So there's no how you can just mix anything up with them.
The new market at the University of Abuja was meant to begin operations a month after the strike commenced. Plans to occupy this facility suspended, as occupants who can hardly get by will be unable to afford a shop for 500,000 naira per annum if the strike is ever called off.
The resume now, the woman go say make they pack us for Adrabu market, mo inter shop, business no move. Kuma srak they day. Make the woman reduce the money for shop because students go come, they go eat food, they need cheap food, 100 naira food. 150 naira food and pure water 5 naira. The woman no agree reduce the money for shop. The shop is too cost.
In the east, from the Enugu campus of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, a Rice correspondent, Abel Ejikeme, captures the mood.
It's been a case of economic misery for ancillary workers within and outside the university. Emelda sells phone accessories within the premises of the university. She says her financial situation has grown worse since the commencement of the strike.
When students were here, at least sometimes you can make like 10,000, 15, 20 daily. But now, you hardly even make up to 1,000 naira in a day. So it's very difficult for us. And we want government to appealing on them to do something about it. So at least people can even survive. Because we that are doing business, it is affecting us very badly. We have so many things to do with money. You pay your rent, you pay so many things. But here, imagine when you're making 1,000 in a day, you have children to feed.
Before the strike, so we are making at least, realizing our daily incomes wasn't as hard as it is now. But ever since the strike, we've been finding it hard getting the same amount we used to get before.
Nigerian universities are a beehive of activities during school sessions. Heavily dependent on students for survival, here, investments stay frozen as copy machines lay idle with no hope of generating the income they were purchased for.
Looking at the business environment, the mobile entities, the mobile entity in the student environment is the students. So if their students are not around, who do you want to serve your service to, who do you want to deliver? So totally, the actions of ASU strike and other bodies have seriously paralyzed the economy of the business environment, to say.
Back at the University of Abuja, as it is on campus, so it is off campus. For Mr. Henry Olumuyiwa, it's a mutually beneficial business relationship with the students. His business is part of a prerequisite for graduating students. As a binder, they depend on him to present their final project. With no student in sight and 5 children to feed, every day is a struggle.
Is it financially, morally, otherwise? It has just crumbled all my plan, especially this year, completely. Even as you can see, this is my son. I have some apprentices at my backs. We just come and sit. There's no work. Even common fuel that will take us 200 naira fuel that will take us to our destination is a problem, talk less of eating.
He is not alone. An empty fridge in this restaurant says it all.
A business place where you are making like maybe around 30,000, and now you are not even making up to like 5,000. It's that serious. And most people now, because of the strike, most people are now eating on credit, which it will take them even more than 2-3 weeks before you can even be able to recover your money.
While the university management and government can afford to allow its investments lay waste, landlords in this community think otherwise. Monday Suleiman is a property manager and house agent. He says the strike has increased skirmishes between landlords and students, their tenants.
The students usually pay rent, but there are challenges during this period. Landlords insist the students must pay, and the students argue that they have not occupied the property in a while. When I plead with the landlords, some accept while others don't. They insist on collecting their money. A particular landlord insists on collecting his money once the tenant resumes after the strike. These arguments end up in the police station. Sometimes, the police also help to beg the landlords. Most still insist on getting their rent.
On the larger economy, the losses accrued from the unending strike cannot be quantified.
More than 60% of our students actually stay off campus. They rent houses, they buy foodstuff there, even transporters.
The world is fast changing, and as students grapple with the same old curriculum, the law of diminishing returns set in with each strike, leaving them where they began. Unable to solve real problems in the real world, the skills gap widens.
The best brains are leaving. Those of us that are remaining are also leaving. We will leave someday. And that is why our union is drawing government's attention, to this decay.
As time passes, many lose the eligibility for employment in certain industries. Not to be caught in the quagmire of epileptic school sessions, most seek university education abroad as a way out. According to the UK Mail, the number of Nigerian students in Britain rose by 686% in 3 years to a record high of 65,929, making Nigeria the third largest foreign student group in the UK after India and China. Statistics from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows that Nigeria spent at least $220.8 million on foreign education between December 2021 and February 2022. A continuous loss to the Nigerian government as graduates are absorbed into foreign labor markets. As time goes by, an unskilled populace is left behind. The signpost behind me says no to drugs, keep your dreams alive. With schools out of session for almost a year, ambitions and aspirations of students and the Nigerian government remain just that, dreams, as the strike puts the bedrock of society's development to sleep. Onyi Sunday, Arise News.
All right. Well, great reporting there from Onyi Sunday. The ASU situation has ripple effects.
Well, I guess the report is self-explanatory enough. It's not just the students that are suffering. The ecosystem in the universities also affected. And then there's also the cultural dimension. Maybe there will be another report on that. Thank you very much, Rotus.